it's the cleaning lady here, and welcome to another episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about something a little darker than the usual subject of cleaning. And it's about the time that I was attacked by a client's dog when I was cleaning in their home. I was called in to cover one of my cleaners who was off sick, and she had Jacob that day. So I contacted Jacob and I said, "Your cleaner's off sick, so I'm coming to cover." And he said, "Oh, great, you haven't met Will, my dog." And I was like, "Okay, great." I looked forward to meeting him. So I got there, and this dog was so excited to see me, jumping up and down at me, licking me, um, wagging its tail like crazy. And Jacob showed me where the treats were. So gave him a treat. He sat for me while I gave him the treat, and he went and settled in with Jacob while I did the rest of the clean. So I was there for 3 hours and absolutely no problems at all. When I was about to leave, however, I was talking to Jacob in the hallway about the dog. His name was Will. He was a rescue dog, and he'd had him for a year. He was a Rottweiler. Now, I did grow up with dogs, but I'm a cat person and I don't know dog breeds very well. I had no idea he was a Rottweiler. He was very, very handsome. And that we were just talking about the dog and how long he'd had him and, if he knew anything about his history and all that kind of thing. And suddenly, the dog's jaws were clamped on my arm. And it was like I couldn't really process what had happened because it was like that. It was so quick. Like me and Jacob were just talking. The dog was just kind of sitting down over there. And all of a sudden, it just grabbed me. And it was growling and snarling. And Jacob kept saying, "Will, let go, let go." And it wasn't letting go. And I'm not sure how I got away from the dog, but I think I must have pulled my arm out and just ran into the downstairs loo. I don't actually remember. There's quite a few pieces of that night that I don't remember. And next thing I knew, I was in the downstairs toilet and they had this sliding door. And I just felt really panicked. And it was like my brain was telling me I had to close the door, but my body just couldn't do it. It was almost like I'd froze. I couldn't get the door to close. And it took everything I had to close that door. I mean, this all happened very, very quickly. It was seconds. I could hear this dog scratching and growling at the door, trying to get to me. And then I heard Jacob shout to me, "It's okay. I've locked him away now." And I looked in the mirror and I noticed my jumper was all kind of hanging. It was all ripped and hanging down. And I said, "I think I need to go to hospital." And he said, "Okay, I'll take you." Now, I didn't know the extent of my injuries at that point. I didn't have any pain at all. There was no pain. It's really weird. It was almost like, though, my instincts took over. It was like my body knew instinctively what it needed to do. And it's so weird. But anyway, I remember I said, yeah, so I said to Jacob, "Right, I think I need to go to hospital." And he said, "Okay, I'll take you." Another slight gap in my memory. I don't remember the coming out of the downstairs bathroom and getting to his car. I don't remember that bit at all. And on the way to the hospital, it was almost like, I guess I was just trying to process what had happened. I think I was like, I don't know what I was thinking about. I don't even know if I was thinking about anything. I don't even know if I was trying to process it. It was like I was almost like in my own sort of protective bubble and I couldn't think about anything or feel anything. And actually, when the attack happened, there was no screaming, there was no pain, there was no panic. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel anything. It was just like my body just took over. And it was just, I've got to get away. But I didn't think of anything. It was so weird. So yeah, so we're on our way to the hospital. And as I say, I was just not speaking, not really thinking of anything. But my days was interrupted by my husband contacted me. He'd just finished work and he wanted to know if we needed anything from Sainsbury's on the way home. And I just said, "Oh, I've just been bitten by a dog. So I'm on my way to the hospital." can you stay at home and look after the boys and I'll let you know how I am later? And he's like, okay. Uh, so when we got to the hospital, he dropped me off outside. I don't remember if I said anything. I mean, I know that I was very grateful that he'd give me a lift to the hospital. And I was still like in this state of shock. It was just like, I don't even know what it was like. It was really weird because I've never experienced it before. I got to the hospital and I walked through the doors, and it was just like the reality of what had happened just hit me. And I just couldn't breathe. I was hysterical, and I couldn't give my details to the receptionist. And there was this guy who was on duty, and I think he was like a manager, like a ward manager or something. He wasn't medically trained, I don't think. And he said, "Come on, come with me. We'll go outside and I'll take your details outside." And he took all my details outside. And then he told me to go and sit down in the waiting room. And it was like, as soon as I'd sat down, the triage nurse called me in, and I was crying, and I said, "I'm really sorry. I've just been bitten by a dog, but I don't know. I haven't looked, and I don't know if it's anything. I think I probably just need a tetanus jab or something." And she cut off my jumper with scissors because it was all just hanging off me. And she just looked at me, and she said, "Let's get you straight in." And I remember walking through the waiting room, and there were people that had been there probably for hours. And I could just feel them staring at me, probably thinking, "She's only just got here. What's wrong with her? Why is she going straight in?" I got into the other part of A&E and sat down. She uh, put me in a bay, and she gave me a custard cream out of her pocket. I remember she gave me a custard cream out of her pocket, and off she went. A few minutes later, uh, a doctor or somebody came in, I don't remember who came in, and said that I needed to go and have an x-ray because they wanted to check that there were no animal teeth or broken bones. And I thought, oh God, I need to text Sarah. So I texted Sarah. Sarah helps me run the business, and she's just like the sister I never had, like a really dear, dear friend of mine. And I texted her and I said, "Jacob's dog's just bitten me. I'm in A&E. I've got to go and have an x-ray." And she was just like, "Send me a picture," because she's like, she loves anything like that. And she said, "Do you need me to come down?" And I was like, no, I'm okay. And I sent her a picture, but I hadn't actually looked at my arm at this point. I didn't know how bad it was. And I sent her the picture, and then I looked at the picture because I couldn't really see very well. It was right here, underneath here. And it was this huge gaping wound with all these fat cells packed tightly inside my arm. You could see it all. And all these little fat cells kept falling out. I went and had the x-ray. It turned out there was no animal teeth or broken bones. So that was really good. When I came back, I had to go back through A&E, and I noticed Sarah. She was standing in the queue for the reception to see where I was. And I called over to her, and I ran over, like arms open, and just cried into her arms. I was just crying. And she said, "You look like an extra from a zombie movie." Because I had like all my mascara was all running down my face, and I had all like my jumper was all ripped and hanging down. My fat cells were all coming out and falling all over the floor. And she stayed with me for a few hours. And then one of the nurses came along and said about possibly trying to close the wound, but they couldn't actually get the skin to kind of close together. And they said it was likely that I'd have to have a skin graft, but they just wanted to get the plastic surgeons to come and have a look. So plastic surgeons came along, and they said that, yeah, I'd probably have to have a skin graft, but they would try to stitch it. Then my husband came, and because I've been speaking to him by text as well. And I told him that I was going to have to stay overnight because I was going to have surgery the next day. And he came over and he bought me some clothes and other bits and pieces. I was given a tetanus jab and some sort of intravenous, I don't know if it was I think it was antibiotics. And I settled down for the night in this reclining chair that didn't recline very, very far back. And it was the most uncomfortable night's sleep I'd ever had because it was quite busy at night. I don't think anyone got any sleep. There were people coming in and out. There were doctors coming, doing the rounds every few hours, nurses doing drug rounds, and more patients coming in. So the next morning, I woke up and still no pain. I had absolutely no pain. I don't know if it was the adrenaline. I think it had actually gone through the nerves because I never had any pain, and I still don't have any pain. I actually don't have any feeling here. Not that I really need any feeling here. But yeah, so next morning I got up and I went into the bathroom, and in the mirror, I noticed that in addition to this big wound here, I had this this huge bruise covering my whole hip. And I didn't even know that that was there. And I think that as I must have turned to get away from the dog, it must have just grabbed my hip as I turned. And it got me through my jeans, you know? When it was time to go down to surgery, I was absolutely terrified. And I thought, oh God, what if I lose my arm? What if I die? What if, like I was catastrophizing, like lack of sleep, I guess. I remember going into surgery and I looked at the clock when I went in and when I came round, and I'd been gone for about 3 hours. I'd been in theatre for 3 hours, and I turned my phone on and I got a message from my husband saying, "You're back." He must have got the 2 blue ticks on WhatsApp. Said, "Oh, you're back." He said, "I guess you did have a skin graft then because you've been gone for quite a while." And it turned out I didn't have to have a skin graft. They sewed it up, but I had to have the stitches in for 21 days. And I still can't believe that it was 21 days. Because even when when I had to go and have the aftercare, even then they said, "Oh, that's unusual, 21 days." And some of my clients that I spoke to who are in the medical profession said, "Oh, you wouldn't have them in for that long." But I did. So yes, I was allowed to go home that evening. Actually, I had they have these amazing yogurts in hospital. I had to have this sandwich and this amazing Muller creamy yogurt, and I was allowed to go home. And when I got home, I remember looking online at people that had been attacked by dogs and people that had died. That period of time, there was a lot of XL bully attacks. And I can remember just crying like hysterically about this little boy who died. And I was just thinking, how the hell could this happen? To those kids, those people that didn't survive. That could have been me. If it got my neck, if I was there alone, if Jacob wasn't there, I don't think I would have survived. If it had happened to the cleaner, Jacob's regular cleaner, she was a very petite lady. She wouldn't have stood a chance against that big dog if it had decided to attack her. When I came out of hospital the next day, my husband took me out for lunch and we were in town. And I remember we were about to cross the road and an ambulance went past with its sirens on. And I jumped out of my skin and I just burst into tears. And I was like, bloody hell, what's that? What the hell is that reaction? And then there was a bus that went over a plastic bottle and it made this loud bang. And again, I just jumped out of my skin. I was like, oh my God, like really exaggerated, like startle response. And again, just burst out crying. And I just didn't know why. I just didn't understand what was going on. And I was healed. As far as I was concerned, I just wanted to get on with my life. It happened. I was stitched up, sent home, end of, as far as I was concerned. I was back to normal, but I wasn't. And I had PTSD and I didn't realize what it was at first. And it really affected me and it still does affect me. Every time I hear a loud noise, it makes me jump. But it doesn't just make you jump. It's that nervousness that accompanies it. That sudden, just like, oh my God, what the hell's that? But it's a certain pitch. It's not every noise. It could even be happy noises. It could be somebody laughing. It could be somebody dropping a tray in a cafe. It could be a dog barking. It could be anything. And that's what I struggle with day to day, actually, because I never know if there's going to be a loud noise. And I've been in cafes with my mum and there was a dog that just wouldn't shut up. A little dog. And I had to leave because I was hysterical in the end. And it was like, what the hell is happening to me? I'm not a crier. This isn't me. And that's been the hardest thing to deal with, and that I still really struggle with. There's a lot of things that I can't do anymore. I can't visit my father-in-law because he has 2 dogs and they are quite noisy. It's not the dogs themselves, it's the noise. But also I can't go, I used to go out for long walks in the countryside on my own, and I can't do that anymore because there's always a dog there. There's always a dog off its lead that just runs up to you, and I don't know if they're going to be friendly or not. And I can remember going for a walk on my own because I was determined I wasn't going to be a victim. I wanted to go out for a walk. I went out for a walk, and this little bloody chihuahua just stopped, stood in front of me, and started barking at me. And I screamed, like, who screams at a fucking chihuahua? And I screamed, and I looked like an idiot. And I phoned my husband in floods of tears, and I just said, there was this chihuahua, and I started barking at me, and I screamed, and I feel really stupid, but I feel really scared. There's lots of things that I can't do. I'm all right with little dogs, and I'm all right with unless they bark at me. I'm fine unless they bark at me. I'm all right with small dogs. I'm all right with cockapoos. I'm not okay with Alsatians. I'm not okay with Staffies, and I'm not okay, definitely not okay with Rottweilers or any medium-sized dog. Actually, I'm not okay with. If I see them in a park and they're off their lead, well, I don't go to parks anymore. I don't walk through parks anymore because they are off their lead. They're always off their lead. And then the owner just says, well, he won't hurt you. How do they know they're not going to hurt me? Because Jacob didn't know that his dog was going to hurt me. So a couple of days later, after the attack happened, Jacob contacted me and said that he was taking the dog back to the rescue centre. So I contacted the rescue centre because I was really concerned that it was going to be rehomed to a family with children or maybe an elderly person that would have absolutely no chance of escape if that dog decided to attack. And they said that the dog would probably live out its life in the kennels. And that's where I left it. But she did say to me, usually they give you a sign if they're about to attack. But I can honestly say there was no warning. That dog gave no warning. It was like that. 1 minute it was fine and relaxed. Next minute, bam. And I don't know what it was that I did. I've had lots of EMDR therapy. I've had CBT. And do you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to get better, but I'm just grateful that I'm still here. I'm grateful that it happened to me and not a child. If Jacob had gone to that rescue centre and just walked past that dog and picked another one, what if the dog that attacked me had been adopted by a family with a baby? And that's kind of what I think about. I'm glad it was me and not a child. I'm glad that I'm alive. If that dog had got my neck, what if it got my face? What if maybe I would have been disfigured. Anything could have happened. So I'm just grateful that I'm still here. And sorry, I'm a little bit teary about this. I thought I was over it, actually. It happened nearly 3 years ago, and I honestly thought that I was over it. But I'm obviously not. So, yeah, next week I will have a happier story. Thanks for listening.